All right. Let's go ahead and open up with a prayer. All brothers remove their from the west. Can you open us up with prayer, please?
Our Father, YAH, covenant on the name of Abraham, Yishak, and Yaakov. We thank you, Father, YAH, for allowing us to come before you and to Mikra and to celebrate your holy Shabbat, Father, YAH, and to spend time with you in your word, Father, YAH. I pray that you allow your Ruach to be with us today, Father, YAH, as we delve into your word. I pray that everyone who tunes in and everyone who hears the message that goes out today, Father, YAH, will be affected positively by your spirit, Father, YAH. I pray that everyone who needs to hear will hear, and those who need to be affected need to understand. I pray that understanding goes out, Father, YAH, as we go over your word, not only for those listening, but for us also, Father, YAH, as we delve into your word, Father, YAH. I pray that we speak your word, Father, YAH, not our own, and that we're able to learn and learn how to integrate your word, Father, YAH, into our lives, Father, YAH, so that we can bear fruit that glorifies you, Father, YAH. We pray in Yahshua HaMashiach's holy mighty name. Amen.
Amen.
It's not that bad. I didn't drink water, but you did for a whole day.
Yeah, help yourself. The one on the top got the little page things if y'all want to use that. Help you find it better. Books. Shabbat Shalom. My name is YAH. My brother Wesley Yasharal. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. And we are Savior Word of YAH. And we're having our Sabbath sermon. And before we get into class, we're going to institute something new. At the beginning of the class, we're going to have a bit of a repetitive start. We're going to go into the importance of the Shabbat. What is the Shabbat about? Why we keep the Shabbat? When is the Shabbat? And it's very simple. The Shabbat is the seventh day of the week. If anybody's confused on what the seventh day of the week is, find a calendar. I don't care whose calendar it is. Use your cell phone, go Walmart, Target, whatever. Go in your kitchen, your calendar, whatever. Look up there from left to right. Start with the first one, that's 1, and go count all the way to 7. And when you get to 7, look at what day that is. That is the Sabbath day. And you will find that is what they call in this country Saturday. Now that is the Sabbath day. That's the 7th day of the week. That's YAH's Sabbath. Now man has his own Sabbath. Man decides, I might be off on Tuesday. That's my Sabbath. I'm going to go stay off on that day. Or you have Christians in the Catholic Church instituted Sunday, the first day of the week, the Sun's day, as their Sabbath. And you'll hear people say that, oh, well, my Sabbath is on Sunday. Yeah, your Sabbath is. I don't care about your Sabbath. I care about YAH's Sabbath. And why is that important? We're going to open up in Genesis real quick. We're just going to go over this. Genesis chapter 2. Genesis chapter 2. All right. Genesis chapter 2. And we're going to start that on verse 2. It says, and on the 7th day, Elohim ended his work which he had made, and he rested on the 7th day from all his work which he had made. So he didn't rest just some of his stuff. All the work that he made, he rested on that day. And when you see the word Sabbath with the Shabbat, that literally means rest. So when it says the 7th day, it's literally saying the rest day. So this is the day that we're supposed to rest. So that's one requirement. Then when you go to the next verse, it says, and Elohim blessed the seventh day and sanctified it. So he blessed the seventh day. He didn't bless the first day or the second day or the third. No, he sanctified, which means when you separate something and say, I'm moving all this over here, this is mine. Just like a man, when he sanctifies his wife, he removes whatever, you know what I'm saying, person that's in his life, and he says, nah, this is my wife. She's going to become one flesh with me. You're sanctifying. And he blessed it. So we have to bless that day, and we have to sanctify that day, which means it's different than every other day of the week. We can't act the same way we act every other day. Now, it says if a man don't work, he shouldn't eat. So you got 6 days to work. The seventh day is our day to rest. Now, with our current conditioning here in Babylon, this is our punishment. So we have to fight to rest on that day. We have to struggle to rest on that day because that was our punishment, since our forefathers did not want to esteem that day. They didn't want to sanctify that day because the heathens were doing business on that day, and they thought business was more important. So they took that. So now we are punished where, okay, y'all don't want to do it, now you're going to fight for it. So you have to prove to Yah that you are his child. And then also in Ezekiel, he says the Sabbath is a sign between me, Yah, and you, the children of Yasharal, that he is our Elohim and we are his people. So this is the sign that we show the Father. This is the one he said, this is the sign. You want to show me a sign that you belong to me? Then you keep his Sabbath day. Now, there's other things that we don't do on the Sabbath day because it's sanctified and it's holy. We can't do anything that's going to make ourselves unclean, which means start with the heart. We have to behave ourselves in a certain manner. We can't do transgressions and do wicked things on that day, which we shouldn't do any day, but especially on that day. If you got issues, you got problems trying to stop from doing some kind of transgression that you're doing, at least on the Sabbath, say, listen, y'all, I'm trying to stop all this, but on Shabbat, I'm definitely not doing that because I know that I can at least stop this one day. I can't control myself. I'm too weak and I'm praying for strength, but I'm going to get it done on the Shabbat. That doesn't justify the other 6 days, but at least you're showing the Father that, look, I know I ain't right, but on the Shabbat, I'm going to try to do that. Then also, you don't have sex with your wife on that day. Because when a man passes seed, there's blood in that seed. And that seed makes you unclean and will make, what is that? I said alarm in there, clock over there. So that blood makes you unclean and you make your wife unclean. You can't do that on the Shabbat. So Friday night, you cannot have relations with your wife because that makes you unclean. And you don't want to touch a dead body or, all those type of things, that make you unclean. So you want to keep that in mind. You don't want to do anything that's going to make you unclean from Friday sundown to Saturday sundown. Now, again, at Saturday sundown, it's party time. You and your wife can have a great time. Go out, spend money, do whatever. Also on the Shabbat, because we don't work, we can't spend money on the Shabbat. Because it says, you go to, let's read that, matter of fact. Let's just go straight to the commandment. Let's go to Exodus chapter 20. I try not to get in the habit of telling people what to do, telling people what they're supposed to do. I like to read to people what they're supposed to do.
Exodus 20?
Yes, Exodus 20, and we're going to start this at verse 8. Shema, Exodus chapter 20 and verse 8. Remember the Shabbat day, the Sabbath day, to keep it holy, which is Kodesh. 6 days shall you labor and do all your work. Notice it says all your work has to be done in 6 days. But the seventh day is the Shabbat of Yahweh your Elohim. In it you shall not do any work, no work. You, nor your bane, your son, nor your daughter, your bat, nor your manservant, nor your maidservant, nor your cattle. You can't even put your cattle out there to work. You can't say, look, go out there and graze that field. No, your dog get a day off. Everything get a day off on that. Right? And it said, nor your stranger that's within your gates, which means, and notice that's within your gates. So if you got a Gentile, you dwelling with a Gentile that works for you, or you're connected to a Gentile, you married a Gentile, or whatever the case, they can't work either. Regardless of whether they believe in Yah or not, it don't matter. They in your gates. They have to respect Yah's law because your house respects Yah's law. So being that it says, nor your maidservant, nor your manservant, that means when you go to the store to buy something and say, well, I ain't gonna work. What you think that person at the store is doing? You think they there for free? You think they just hanging around because they doing good work? You went to Goodwill? Even the people at Goodwill get paid. So you can't do that. You're causing them to work whether they believe or not. Because at the end of the day, that's your power to not go in that place. So you're causing them to work. You're oppressing somebody. Y'all don't like that. He said, not even you don't even want your animal to work. So that's what you're doing. So a lot of us didn't understand that. We just said, I ain't gonna work. Can't do that. So that is the Shabbat. That's why we keep the Shabbat. And the Shabbat is, go to Leviticus 23. This is what we're supposed to do on the Sabbath day. Leviticus 23 is the introduction to Yah's Moadim, his appointed days, his feasts, his days. And we're going to start this at verse 1. And it says, and Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, speak unto the children of Yasharal, Yisrael, and say unto them concerning the feasts of Yah, which you shall proclaim to be holy convocations. Even these are my feasts. So these are his feast days. These are his appointed days, his Moadim. So this is his Moadim. Now, when you look at feasts and all that stuff, you got to be careful. It's not necessarily a feast. It's appointed times. Some of these are feasts and some are appointed times. We just had Day of Atonement. Is that a feast day? No, because we don't eat on that day. We are to fast on that day. All right? But it says, these are my appointed times. Verse 3, 6 days shall work be done, but the seventh day is the Shabbat of rest. And notice it says a holy convocation. So what does holy convocation means? That's a Kodesh Mikra. Kodesh is holy, sanctified, consecrated, a special day. And convocation is Mikra, which means a gathering, a called out day, a rehearsal, a reading. So that means we are to gather on a convocation day. Holy means we have to keep that day holy. And notice it says read. So you're supposed to read. You're supposed to gather. It is a called out thing, which means you have to announce to everybody that it's the Shabbat and we're to come together. So that's what we do on the Shabbat. Do you have to come here to save your word of Yah? Absolutely no. You can go wherever you want to go. As long as you're gathering to the best of your ability to gather with your people to read out of this Torah, out of the law. You have to read out of the law on that day. And you have to, and it also says to, to mark narrowly. You have to observe that. You have to protect that, attend to that. So wherever you go, whether it's your house, because keep in mind, everybody want to talk about going to some big church to do this and do that. Remember, from that second half of the book, they weren't going to those big temples no more. They were going to people's houses. They said, nah, that people over there, they about that money. They not about this work. So Yahshua set the temples in the houses. That's how he ended up doing a lot of things. Not to say anything is wrong with going to a temple, but just understand from the second portion, it was opened up to be into people's homes. So this is what we do on the Shabbat. This is why we're here, and this is why we present that. So the title of today's Shabbat sermon is Yah's Temple. Yah's Temple. And we just came out of our Day of Atonement, Yom Kippur, which is the holiest day of the year. We had a full day fast and reflection and inward reflection and reconciling our sins to the Father. And that is purposeful because you have trumpets, which is the first of the 7th month, which is the holy day that announces the coming of the 7th month, to gather us together, to let you know that, okay, instructions is coming, come together. And then you have on the 10th day, you have atonement, which is to cleanse yourself. But what are we cleansing ourselves for? Why are we cleansing ourselves? Brother West, why do you think we're cleansing ourselves on the 10th day? What is this in preparation for?
This is in preparation for Tabernacles, correct? Which is
Come.
the last set of holy days.
Amen. So we are preparing ourselves. When you come to my house, what's the first thing you see when you open that door, Will?
Shoes.
And what's on the floor?
The shoes.
No, before the shoes, right
The
there.
rug.
The doormat, right?
Yeah.
In other words, wipe your feet off.
Right.
Clean yourself before you walk into my house. And where did Yahshua said that you need to cleanse yourself and you're clean with all?
Feet.
Your feet. So it's very symbolic. Yahshua said, as long as you wash your feet, you're clean with all. Your whole body is clean. Now, obviously, go take a shower. Don't be funky. But if you in the wilderness, you in an area, it's cold outside. Ain't no real ways to take a shower, but it's about to be the Shabbat, then you wash your feet. Because if you clean your whole body, you might catch a cold and die. It's cold outside, but you can put your feet in some water and clean them off real quick without killing yourself and then dry them off. So you wash your feet. So it's very symbolic of coming in the house, wash your feet off because you need to cleanse yourself before you come into the house. So on the 15th day, which will be this Tuesday night, this third day coming up, will be the beginning of Tabernacles. And as we get closer, we'll get on Tabernacles, we'll go over that, of what Tabernacles is. But what Tabernacles is Sukkah, Yom Sukkah, which is, Sukkah means house, or pavilion, or tent. We're to dwell in tents, and it's an 8-day feast. So the first day is a holy convocation, which means we gather that night, and the last, with the 8th day, is a holy convocation, and we dwell in tents 7 days straight. All right. So this is what we're doing. We're preparing ourselves. Yah loves us so much. He said, "Listen, I want you clean so you can come to my house." Because if you ain't clean, you can't come to my house. So he's saying you can't cleanse yourself. So bring it to me. I'll wash you. That's the only person that can cleanse us is Yah. Bring it to me. And through this Savior word of Yah, I will cleanse you. So now we're going to look at Yah's temple. It's called Yah's temple. We're going to see what his temple is. One of Yahshua's biggest things was like people put so much stock in a building. We just moved out of a building. And, the building is important, don't get me wrong, but that's not the primary importance. The primary importance is the house of Yah. If that building is there without the people, it's nothing. What makes the building something is when we are there, because we are the temple. So let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 3, and let's see who Yah's temple is. 1 Corinthians chapter 3.
1 Corinthians is after Romans in the New Testament. So-called.
And something just came to my mind earlier today. I almost did a whole nother class on this. In order to make yourself a sacrifice unto Yah, to sacrifice yourself to Yah, you have to give him your best, all that you have. That's the only acceptable sacrifice, is your best. But often, we get in these commandments and we try to be righteous by these commandments. And how that is bad is because what that'll end up doing is giving you an excuse to give him your least. Because that is your least. That the commandments is just a lamp. The law, which is righteous, is the light. Without the light, it's still dark. So if you are trying to give righteousness by just doing the least, the commandments say all I got to do is show up. Now I showed up, right? I'm here. You're giving the least to the Father. So if you're giving the least to the Father, it's not accepted. You're just wasting your time. If the only time you keep yourself clean is on the Shabbat, that's the least. That's the least. That's not even, that's 1 out of 7, that's like 10%. You're giving him the least. So you want the least from your Father? No, you want the best. You want him to give you the most mercy, the best blessings, the best protection. You want all that. So we need to examine ourselves. We say, okay, well, all I got to do for the Shabbat is this. As long as I do this and this, I kept the Shabbat. Now, when you in a situation like washing your feet, before the Shabbat, take a shower, man. Wash your whole body. But if you're in a wilderness situation, the best you can do is to wash your feet. That's the best. That's different. So you got 2 people that only wash their feet. You got one person in his house, he got hot water, everything, but he feel like taking a shower. He lazy. He washed his feet. Then you got another person who's wilderness on the run from the society, trying to make it to Israel, and he had no choice but to just wash his feet. Or he on the road and he don't have nowhere else to go. He's trying to get off the road before the Shabbat, and he's trying to wash his feet. That's the best that he can do. That's completely different. Completely different. Going back again to the parable of the talents. One man was given 1 talent, another man was given 2, another man was given 5. The one that was given 2 came back with 4 talents. Hey, y'all, here you go. Here's your 2, and I made another 2. Well done, my good and faithful servant. Come to the goodness of your master. The other one had 5, came back with 10. Praise Yah. Great job. The one who had 10 started with 5. He could have came back with 6. He could have came back with 6. It's still more than that guy that came back with 4. But that was the best he could do. He flipped that thing. Now, if that one with 5 came back with 6, it would not be accepted because that's the best you could do, bro. You had 5 and you could only produce 1. That's not accepted. That's the least that you could do. Then you have the one that had 1. He took it and buried it. He was not profitable to the Most High. So just doing the least, which is just coming back with the same thing he gave you, that's not being profitable. If you're not profitable to the Most High, you're not going to be accepted by the Most High. So if you keep coming to the Most High, Yah, with the least, then understand why you're getting the least blessing in your life. And don't equate money to blessing, because money could be the thing that's cursing you. Because you turn to that money before you turn to the Most High and say, well, why am I going through this? Let me turn that mirror and look at that mirror. So we're in 1 Corinthians chapter 3.
So I have a question.
Sure.
How does one develop that zeal for the Most High coming from a state of absolute heathenism in a sense? You know what I'm saying? Like coming from a Babylonian system and being raised in Babylon and kind of being used to just doing things in a selfish manner. How does one develop that zeal for the Most High, and where does that take place? You know what I'm saying? How do you develop it?
Okay, well, I would say I can only really speak from my experience, and a lot of people I know, we developed that zeal because we got tired of getting whooped. Eventually, you start taking the trash out because daddy keep putting that slipper on your behind. He keep getting that weightlifting belt. You ain't like the weightlifting belt. He bring the big weight. Man, you gonna bring the WWE belt up. You get tired of getting whooped. But when you keep making excuses for your whoopings, well, it's bad things happen. It rains on the just and unjust. Man, you're being wicked. When you get tired of getting dealt with and you actually look at yourself in the mirror and see how ugly that image is, not only on atonement, but every day, that should give you some motivation to make some changes. Because Yah, the big fear of Yah is the beginning of wisdom and knowledge and understanding. So,
okay, well, I got a question to continue that. Okay, so fear of Yah is the beginning of wisdom. So how does one move from a fear of Yah to a love for Yah? Because we know that's one of the main commandments is love Yah with all your heart. You know what I'm saying? So how does one develop that love to where they can say, okay, well, I'm not just doing this because the Most High said so, but I'm doing this because I love the Most High.
Right. Because it starts with that. Yahweh is a deep word, by the way, or Yara, fear. It's not only a dread, fear, like whoa, but it's also reverence. So before the reverence comes, before you reverence your father, you fear your father. When you were a little kid, and you love you innocent, you can't do no wrong when you're innocent, you're a little baby. But as soon as you get old enough to get that belt to your backside, you like, whoa, this man that I used to be running up to, daddy, he just whooped. And you remember, I'm sure you remember that first face that they make. The only you gonna get this, you gonna feel me. But that first time you whoop your child, that's when it really hurts you more than it hurts them, because that child is like so shocked that you would actually put a belt to my back and do that cry, like that moment you gotta tighten up as a man. You gotta be like, look, I can't offer them eyes. Right. But that's the fear that comes first from him whooping you, showing his might in your life. And that's why a lot of people are going around doing what they're doing, is because Yah has not shown himself to them yet. He haven't had an appearance. Yah hasn't made an appearance in your life. When he makes an appearance, it's usually not like, oh, thank you, Father. No, you getting your butt whooped. And then you like, man, this ain't normal. What is this? Where is this coming from? What did I do? I didn't deserve this. Starts with that. Then after that, you now have a fear of you. Now that fear should cause you, if you of the spirit, to start making some changes. And as you start making those changes, you start to see the love. Like after the whipping, now he sees, hey son, look what I got. Look at this bike. You've been doing good in school. You've been doing your chores. That bike you've been looking for. Oh, thank you, Daddy. That was like the greatest thing in the world. You got that new bike? You got that baseball glove or something you really wanted. Now you see the reward that he's giving you. And now it's not just fear. Look how good my daddy is. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I got in trouble, but he gave me a break. He didn't punish me that time. And then I straightened up and I started doing good and he rewarded me. Now you got those rewards. Now it's not, well, I'm afraid you're going to get whooped. It's like, man, I don't want to be out of your favor. Look how good you've been to me. You've done all these things, even when I messed up. Even when I got that C in class. You encouraged me to get an A or B. And I still didn't get an A. I got a B. And you said, you know what, son, I want you to get an A, but good job getting that B. And now you don't want to let your dad down. But it all starts with that fear. And until you have that fear of Yah, until he has shown himself in your life, it's not in our nature as the flesh to do that. That's why there's pain in the body. Because without pain, we'll keep bending that arm until it just snap off. Right. And then we'll sit here and try to pick something up with a broke arm until the arm just fall. Right. So that's how it's developed.
Hallelujah. I know with my own experiences with my father, like I experienced that fear as a kid because he was the enforcer. Every time I got in trouble, he was there to enforce whatever. And I did have a kind of a fear of him, like, okay, I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to get whooping. I want to have to go sit down, Mm-hmm. But then as I got older, and it wasn't really until I started becoming more of an adult that I noticed, okay, a lot of the reasons why my father was doing the things he was doing, and I noticed like, okay, I might have a discipline in this area because I was chastened as a kid. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I didn't start realizing that until I'm older. So are you saying that's like a similar process to having faith with the Most High?
Absolutely. Until he sends you into that dark moment, allows you to just get a glimpse of what that world is without him. That's just a glimpse. It ain't him without him. But a glimpse of how deep and how dark and how painful life can be. You're not going to really understand him. And once you get that and you're in a place, there's no way I can get out of this. I can't do anything. My hands are tied. I'm like bound, feet and arms and thrown in that fire. And I'm like, it's over. That's it. I'm done. There's no way out of this. I'm being thrown into a furnace with my hands. I can't even try to hold on like a crab or try to grab on something with nothing. And he saves you. Now you understand. But see, he's not saving you from falling in that. If he constantly saves you from falling in that, you ain't gonna fear him. But he lets you fall in that. And you're in that fire. And you swear to goodness, you're so terrified, I'm gonna burn. And you realize, no, it hurts, but I'm not burning. I'm not burning. When them brothers, Uriah, Mishael, and Hananiah, the three brothers went in there, it didn't say that they didn't feel nothing. They might have felt something. Who knows what they felt? But they didn't get hurt. They didn't even smell like smoke. There might have been some pain that we didn't know about. But when we go through that pain and we survive, we know there's no way that I could survive this. And one thing that I learned through my own personal experience is, we were taught, y'all not going to give you more than you can handle. So I figured, surely there's no way he would do this to me, because this right here would destroy me. There's no way that I can come through this. But then he allowed you to go through that, but then he strengthened you. So it's not about how much you can handle. He's not going to give you more than he's going to prepare you to handle. And that's what it is. So you have to go through those things. And when you go through those things, that's what develops and builds that reverence for the Father. When you know, like, listen, I know what it could have been without him. And I know what it should have been according to my actions. But he didn't.
Praise you.
Hallelujah. And this is what the world don't understand. And this is what you're not going to understand with a credit card until you're on your deathbed. And you got all the money in the world and you can't buy your life and save your life. Or you got all the money in the world, you can't buy a rib that you can love. Because she just loves your money. All she care about is your money. 1 Corinthians chapter 3, we want to see what's YAH's temple.
And I, brethren, could not speak unto you as unto spiritual, but as unto carnal, even as unto babes in Mashiach.
All right, so Saul's letting you know you can't talk to everybody the same. When you're talking to a babe in Mashiach, and this is kind of one of my errors, sometimes I be going way too deep, and people are babes, they're new, they don't understand. And it's like, it's so clear, because a teacher, sometimes things can be so clear to you, like, how can you not see this? But then you got to have a good memory. You got to remember back when you were new and things it just went over your head. So he's wise enough to know, look, I can't talk to you spiritual because you got to understand carnal first. You're a babe. Go ahead.
I have fed you with milk and not with meat, for hitherto you were not able to bear it, neither yet now are you able.
What do you feed a baby? Give a baby you want to give him the best you have. Look, I got this T-bone steak. It's well done. Here, I love you, son. Baby can't even hold his head up. You gonna stick a steak down his throat? What you think gonna happen? He not gonna get the food. Furthermore, he might choke and die on it. So you gotta give him milk. Same thing with this word. You gotta feed him milk first. But the problem is, because babes in Mashiach is a spiritual thing. You can't look at somebody and see that. So you think that because you're dealing with a grown man that surely you can understand this, but they might be a babe in a Mashiach. And you got to feed them milk. Now, when you see a baby walking around stumbling and slob coming out their mouth and fall on the floor, you're not looking like, what the hell is wrong with this baby? Baby, get up. Stop walking. Change your diaper, baby. You sound like a fool. But now you see a grown man who's in his proper senses, not retarded, walking around like that. Two different situations. But once again, all we see is the physical. And you might see a grown man acting spiritually stupid, but his actions is showing you that he's a babe. Then you can't be so angry at them. You can't hold them to such a standard that you would hold somebody that been in the walk for years, that had a teacher. You can't hold them, but it's difficult because you look at a man yelling at a little baby for doing something that a baby does, you look at that man like he's stupid. But then a grown man doing the same thing spiritually, and it's not as evident. So we have to keep that in mind when we're dealing with new people. Don't expect that much from them. Go ahead.
For you are yet carnal, for whereas there is among you envying and strife and divisions, are you not carnal and walk as men?
Oh, I'm of such and such camp. I'm of that camp. I'm home of this camp. If you ain't here, you ain't got the truth. Same thing. Same thing then, it's the same thing going on now. Go ahead.
For while one says, I am of Saul, and another says, I am of Apollos, are you not carnal?
That's carnal as ever. These are men. You ain't of no man. You ain't of YAH or Brother West, man. You of the Mashiach. You of the YAH. That's who you are. Go ahead.
Who then is Saul, and who is Apollos, but ministers by whom you believed, even as the Master gave to every man? I've planted, Apollos watered, but Elohim gave the increase.
So neither of us get credit, because we all did our job. Yah is what made it grow. Go ahead.
Now he that plants and he that waters are one, and every man shall receive his own reward according to his own labor. For we are laborers together with Yahweh. You are Yahweh's husbandry. You are Yahweh's building.
All right, so every man shall receive of his own reward according to his own labor. So you have to work for your own reward. You can't say, well, my teacher has 400 classes and he's baptized 5,000 people. And he's amazing. Well, what did you do? Oh, okay. You have to do your own labor, even if it's helping that person baptize 5,000 people, helping that person produce a class, getting behind the camera, answering some comments, you know what I'm saying, studying, adding to the class. Do what you can do. But before you can work, you don't just start on your job. What you do the first day of your new job, Will?
You gotta train.
You gotta train. You don't just go in there, watch out, man. Let me get it. Look, you just gotta put this code in here. This is how you open it. Nah, man. You gotta be trained on how you gotta do. Go ahead.
To the grace of Elohim which is given unto me, as a wise master builder, I have laid the foundation, and another builds thereon. But let every man take heed how he builds thereupon.
So be careful how you build. None of us laid the foundation. But in verse 9, we are laborers together with Yah. We are Yah's husbandry. In other words, we are his plants, his garden. You are Yah's building. We are the building. Us. We are that building. And furthermore, even more important in the building, you're going to see what we are. Because there's a part of the building which is even more important than the building itself. Go ahead.
Verse 11. For other foundation can no man lay than that is laid, which is Yahshua Mashiach.
And you laying a different foundation when you come and you try to create something new in this word and try to add onto it. And say, because the word is the foundation. Yahshua is the word. The Savior word of Yah is the foundation. And you're trying to add to that word. You're not building upon it. You're not saying this is the word and we're going to use that as a foundation and we're going to continue that word and spread it more. That's building on top of it. But when you add something and say, yeah, you can't do this or you can't do that. That's against the law. Where do you get that from? Where say that? You add into the law. Go ahead.
Now if any man build upon this foundation gold, silver, precious stones, wood, hay, stubble, every man's work shall be made manifest, for the day shall declare it, because it shall be revealed by fire. Fire shall try every man's work of what sort it is.
All right, so this is what happens in our lives. We become an Israelite and we say, praise Yah, I'm one of the chosen. I know who I am. But then as soon as we step outside, here come the flames. And we're like, what's this? Hold up. I turn to the Father. What's all this fire here for? What's all this fire? Hold up. This is supposed to be easy street. But nah, look at that painting over there. You see that painting? You're going to have to walk through that fire. You're You're going to have to walk through that abyss to get to the Savior word of Yah. That fire is there for your purpose, not Yah's purpose, for your purpose. Because are you wood, hay, or stubble? Or are you gold, silver, and precious metal? What are you? Now, you don't just automatically become gold, silver, even the diamond. The diamond don't just, let me just go pick a diamond. The diamond starts as a lump of coal, dark piece of coal. And that heat and that pressure is what causes that coal to turn into a diamond. But you put heat and pressure on something else, it might deteriorate. It might turn into dust. So sometimes you need to go through the fire so you can be revealed to what you are. And when you get broke apart and you destroyed because of something in this word, then you realize, man, I'm wood, hay, and stubble. I got to go back to the drawing board. Go ahead.
Work abide, which he has built thereupon, he shall receive a reward.
So when you do works, it's going to be put in the fire. And if your work survives that fire, and your work's still here, and you're able to still do, praise Yah. You're going to receive a reward. But this is a win-win situation. Whether it survives or doesn't survive, you did work for the Father. There's going to be a reward. But the reward may not be addition to what you have. Here's the other reward you get. Verse 15.
If any man's work shall be burned, he shall suffer loss, but he himself shall be saved, yet so as...
So that fire is to save you. So when you're going through this tribulation in your life, don't avoid it. It's to save you. It's to show you what you are. Are you going to produce product when you go through that fire? Or are you going to be destroyed by it? If you're destroyed by it, you weren't his to begin with. But if you're just broken down, but you're still alive, you're saved by that. That's why I tell everybody, get you some work. Find something. Praise Yah. My teacher taught me that. He taught me you better find some work. We are workers. You better do something for them. I don't care if you're the dude that sweep the back of the room. You better do something. But before you can work, you got to go through training. So many of us are still in training. That's fine. That's work too. Don't you get paid for training when you're trained? Because that's work. But you're saved by that. So find you some work for the Most High so you can be saved by that fire. Go ahead.
Know you not that you are the temple of Yahweh, and that the Spirit of Elohim dwells with you?
And that's what the temple is. The temple holds the Spirit. When you go into the temple, the inner temple, the sanctuary, the place that we just sanctified in here, this is where the Spirit is. This is why you got to take off your shoes, because this is the temple. This is where the Spirit is. So we are Yah's temple. Where we are, there is his Spirit. The Spirit of Elohim dwells in us. We are his house. So this body is his house. We are his temple of where his Spirit is. Now the Spirit is the most valuable thing. The most valuable thing. And where are you going to put your valuables? You going to put your valuables in the toilet? Where you pee and you crap? Matter of fact, I'm going to put it in my trash can. I'm just going to put a little spot in my trash can for it. Is that where you're going to put your valuables?
No.
You're going to put it somewhere safe. You're going to put it somewhere clean. Because you don't want your stuff tarnished. So if the Spirit of Yah is in us and dwells in us, then why would we defile this temple? It don't belong to us. It belongs to Yah. It's Yah's temple. It'll say that's your temple. No, it's Yah's temple. So if he has a spirit, we as human beings would not put our diamonds in the toilet right after we took a crap. Say, just don't flush it. When I want it, I'll go get it. That's stupid. We would never do that. We smart enough to get a nice jewelry box and a safe and put it there and go to the bank. So you think Yah gonna give you his Holy Spirit and put it in your flawed, disgusting temple that you didn't even try to keep clean for him? Don't make any sense. Go ahead.
Verse 17. If any man defile the temple of Yahweh, him shall Elohim destroy. For the temple of Yahweh is holy, which temples you are.
So he's merciful. Our big brother bought us a grace period. Christ, Yahshua, bought us a grace period. so that we are not destroyed. We have time for us to cleanse our temple. Just like, man, you get the call from your big brother. Hey, I just talked to daddy. He on the way. He on the way. You better go ahead and clean. He told you clean that room. You better clean that room. I'm at work right now. But daddy told me he on the way. And that's what Yahshua did. He brought us that time. He said, look, daddy on the way. And I'm coming home too. So you better make sure that house is clean because all of us finna get whooped. Go ahead.
Let no man deceive himself. If any man among you seems to be wise in this world, let him become a fool that he may be wise.
All right. So become a fool. And this is a lot of our problems because it says knowledge puffets up. Ain't nobody exempt from that. Not even me. What was that? Okay. Don't let me turn to Timothy. Let the woman be. No, I'll play. But anyway, joking, sister. Anyways, so knowledge puffs up. When you get that understanding, you get that knowledge, you have that knowledge, but do you have that wisdom and understanding that comes with time? And you may have that in certain arenas, but you don't have it in all arenas. I don't care who you are. You don't have it in all arenas. So the wise thing to do is when somebody talks to you, act like a fool. Act like you don't know anything so you can hear what they have to say. And if they telling you some crap, guess what? You really ain't a fool. You know. Nah, they don't make no sense. But if you listen, there might be something in there because, yeah, again, we are his house. Not just one of us, all of us. We are his temple. Ain't nobody here got all of his spirit. You got some, 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 you got some. So what makes you think that they don't have something that you can use? Go ahead.
For the wisdom of this world is foolishness with Elohim. For it is written, he takes the wise in their own craftiness.
And that's why you look at teachers that want to come, with all these degrees and theology and all that. They're the last people you want to listen to because they feel like they got so much knowledge from this world that they can't learn. Go ahead.
And again, Yahweh knows the thoughts of the wise, that they are vain.
The wise have vain thoughts because they so freaking smart. They don't feel like they need Yah. I'm good. I can tell you how the earth rotates around the sun and all this crap. Man, that's foolishness. Look what the words say. But because they so wise, because they have been taught so much by somebody else, they can't be taught of Yah. Don't be that way. There's nothing wrong with having an education. From youth, I've been smart. Been a smart kid. I was in a gifted program. I got tested out at a genius IQ as a child. My father and me. Genius is probably a little exaggeration. Don't lie on the Shabbat. But I had a very high IQ. When they test your IQ, they test your father and they test you. But I am not the smartest in my family. My younger brother, he an MIT graduate. He did his undergrad at MIT and he got his master's at Harvard. He's clearly the smartest in my family. But he don't know this word. Because the wisdom of this world is foolishness to Yah. Shabbat shalom, y'all. It's foolishness to Yah. So you think you know all these things, but Yah choose the people that have a humility that they can learn because you think you too smart, you ain't gonna know nothing. That's why he wanted to skip over me. I thought I was hot stuff with my little degree and everything like that. Nah, that don't mean nothing if you can't walk in righteousness. Finish that up.
We're in 1 Corinthians chapter 3 and verse 21. Therefore, let no man glory in men, for all things are yours, whether Saul or Apollos or Cephas.
You see how it says Cephas there? It says Cephas because Cephas is Peter's real name. Peter is Kepha, and they put Cephas. So that's Hebrew. So this is why when you hear him say Peter, he'll say Kepha. Paul, name ain't Paul. His name is Saul. Go ahead.
Or the world, or life, or death, or things present, or things to come, all are yours. And you are Mashiach's, and Mashiach is Yahweh's.
All right. If y'all need some more light, you can cut that light on over there if y'all need some more light. Cool. All right, let's go to First Peter chapter 2. So if you're at Corinthians, you're going to go probably like another 4 or 5 books down. So you're going towards the end of the book. And Kepha is right after James. Peter is right after James. First Peter chapter 2. So the title of this Shabbat sermon is YAH's Temple. So what we went over is, well, what is YAH's temple? We are YAH's temple. So if we are YAH's temple, Ray, what do you think he's putting in his temple? If we are his temple, what do you think he would put in his temple? Now, you know, I know you're new. Just anything that comes to your thought, bro. It's just to activate.
Him?
Amen. Him. Absolutely. Absolutely. And he is a spirit. So he's putting that spirit in that temple. We are his temple. Now, would you take your baby girl and go put her in some filthy, nasty, disgusting building crap and drugs and everything? Would you, you're precious, would you put that in there? No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't do that because you got enough common sense that she's valuable to you. Right? So do you think the Most High is going to put his spirit, which is him, in our temple when it's filthy and nasty and full of all kind of uncleanness? Furthermore, what we just read, he said, if you do that to your temple, he's going to destroy that temple because it's not serving his purpose. If you have something that is designed to do something good and it's not working, it's not doing what it's supposed to do, and you can't fix it, what you going to do? Keep it? You're going to destroy it. Recycle it, do something. So our brother, Yahshua, Christ, bought us time to work on that temple so that we don't get destroyed. So we're at 1 Peter chapter 2. So this is what this whole class is about, our temple. Yah's temple.
But there were false prophets also among the
1
people.
Peter chapter 2.
Oh, and 2 Peter, my bad. First Peter chapter 2 and verse 1. Wherefore, laying aside all malice and all guile and hypocrisies and envies and all evil speakings, as newborn babes, desire the sincere milk of the word, that you may grow thereby. If so be you have tasted that Yahweh is gracious.
All right, so again, what we read before, when you're talking about milk, milk is saying the basics of the word. For example, your baby girl, meaning you love her more than anything in this earth. I know that for a fact because I have baby girls. And if you Ray come over and you want to, get something nice, you cook them a nice. If you eat meat, you cook them a nice steak, T-bone steak, good stuff on it, whatever, you just got paid, whatever. Here, that's a great offering, right? But would you give that to your baby that have no teeth?
Oh no.
Nah, the baby gonna choke on it.
Yeah.
So you got to get the baby milk first. So us new people in this word, you got to give them milk. So it's talking about the sincere milk. Giving good foundation, basics is what you want to give to a new person. You don't want to start talking about molecular science and astronomics and all that type of stuff to a second grade. You just he's trying to divide now. You talking about algebra. Then you want to get mad at your child because he failed algebra. You just learned how to divide.
Right.
Go ahead, bro.
Verse 4. To whom coming as unto a living stone, disallowed indeed of men, but chosen of Elohim, precious. You also as lively stones are built up a spiritual house, a holy priesthood, to offer spiritual sacrifices acceptable to Elohim by Yeshua Mashiach.
All right, so this is Kepha. Kepha is Peter. Peter is talking to Israelites. His job was to talk to the Israelites. Saul, or Paul's job, was to talk to Gentiles and Israelites. So you got to know who, when you're reading this Bible, you got to know first who's talking, Who's he talking to? And when is he talking? So that you can get a good understanding. So for new people, when you're reading the Bible, don't just read a verse and say, oh, that means do this. Go to the beginning of the chapter, sometimes even the chapter before, and find out who's talking, who's he talking to, when is the period that he's talking, and now you can understand what he's saying. So when you see Paul talk, a lot of time Paul's talking to Gentiles that he's trying to bring into the fold. So things that he might say to them may not be as applicable to us. But when Peter is talking to Israelites. He's talking to us. Go ahead. That's why he's talking about holy priesthood. If you're not of the nation of Yasharal, you are not a priest of Yah. You cannot be a priest of Yah. You can be a good person. You can learn. You can do things. You can teach other Gentiles, but you can't teach an Israelite unless you're an Israelite. Go ahead.
Verse 6. Wherefore also it is contained in the scripture, behold, I lay in Zion a chief cornerstone, elect, precious, and he that believes on him shall not be confounded.
All right, so a chief cornerstone. So look right there. You see those on that painting right there? There's three of them. One to the left in the water, one in the fire, and then that path, which even looks like what? What is that? What does that look like? Stone? What kind of stone is that? What is that? They have them in Egypt a lot.
Yeah, they look like a pyramid.
They look like pyramids, right? So my initial understanding is that's Egyptian stuff. I ain't dealing with that. Where are the cornerstones on that? There's one on the left, there's one on the right, and there's one at the top. Now, if I have a box like this, I got a cornerstone here, cornerstone here, cornerstone here. If I have anything that's a square, do I have anything that's a square? I don't. But here, this is good. So this is not really a square, but you see cornerstone, 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 cornerstone. These are corners, right? What's the chief one? There's no chief cornerstone. Look up there. Where's the chief cornerstone? At the top. Top. Because that one's different than all the other cornerstones. So you can't get a chief cornerstone unless it's a pyramid. Because it's at the top. It's chief. It's all the way at the top, and it's the only one. You can't. The bottom and all that is just like everyone else, but this is the only one that's at the top. So Yahshua is that chief cornerstone. He is the head. That's why you have a pyramid right there. Because that's the only way you can get a chief cornerstone. It ain't a chief cornerstone if it ain't chief. It's got to be the highest. It's got to be above everything else. Go ahead.
Verse 7. Unto you therefore which believe he is precious, but unto them which be disobedient, the stone which the builders disallowed, the same is made the head of the corner.
The head. The top. Your head is at the top. Go ahead.
And a stone of stumbling and a rock of offense, even to them which stumble at the word, being disobedient, whereunto also they were appointed.
So this word is either going to be a savior to you or a stumbling stone to you. It's a foundation. If you humble yourself and you receive the Spirit, then you might fall, but you get back up and you'll learn from that. But if you are disobedient, you're just going to keep stumbling over the word, stumbling and falling. And to you, it's a stumbling stone. It's meant to keep getting you to fall. But if you receive the Spirit and you're obedient to the Father, it's not going to be a stumbling. It's going to be a rock. It's going to be a foundation for you. Go ahead.
But you are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a peculiar people.
Never did Yah refer to any other nation of people. Any. You cannot find any other nation of people that he said a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a peculiar people. Remember we went over peculiar earlier, Segula? Tafar? Peculiar means treasure. The Hebrew word is segula. It means treasure, jewels. So when he says you are a peculiar people, peculiar is strange. It's strange. A jewel is strange to a dirty rock. It's different. So we are his jewels. So when our temple is holy, we're a jewel. But when it's filthy and then it's just like everything else. What makes a jewel valuable is because it's rare, it's scarce. If there's diamonds, if the whole world was made of diamonds, then nobody would care about diamonds because it's everywhere. But because it's rare. So what makes us rare? What makes us rare is we're not doing what everybody else is. What makes us rare, makes you rare, is y'all sitting in them seats right there. That's rare. Everybody else out having a good time. Everybody out there at Walmart getting the good deals. Everybody at the mall, everybody at the movies, everybody hanging out. These people are not necessarily bad people. They work just like us. And they were enjoying their day. But we are peculiar because somebody thousands of years ago said in a book, we need to keep this day set apart. And that's what we're doing. That's strange. So you're telling me some dead guy thousands of years ago wrote in a book that you should honor this day and not do what you want to do. And that's why you're doing it. Bro, you strange, bro. You crazy. Popeye's got them biscuits, them new chicken sandwiches, bro. You over here? You know how long that line is. Go ahead.
For you are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a peculiar people, that you should show forth the praises of him who has called you out of the darkness into his marvelous light, which in time past were not a people, but are now the people of Elohim, which had not obtained mercy, but now have obtained mercy. Dear beloved, I beseech you as strangers and pilgrims, abstain from fleshly lusts, which war against the soul, having your conversation honest among the Gentiles, that, whereas they speak against you as evildoers, they may, by your good works, which they shall behold, glorify Elohim in the day of visitation.
In the day of visitation. That's what I was talking about to you yet. If you don't fear him. Because when he make a visitation to you, you know. Because you know you dealing with YAH. Because you getting chastened. We didn't just come to him because everything was great in our lives. I don't know anybody that had that story. You know, I was just won the lotto. And I said, you know what? Who is YAH? Nah, you ain't never heard that. You know what? What that Bible be about? Man, anybody care about that, man? He made a visitation in your life. You lost a son, a daughter, a wife, a kid. You lost a leg, an arm, a little brother. You lost a job. You know what I'm saying? You got hurt. You know, something happened to you to open your eyes. Just like your child, when you put that belt to his backside, he's like, maybe I should have took the trash out. So this day of visitation is going to happen to the Gentiles too. But that visitation happened to us first because we are the firstborn. You're not going to go skip down the line and say, come here, baby. Come here. Don't do that again. No, you're going to that big one first. Look, but didn't I tell you to have that garbage clean? Yeah, I was at work. Well, you ain't call your little brothers and tell them to clean up. He getting whooped harder and he getting whooped first because he's the oldest. So we the firstborn, so y'all whooping us right now. But don't best believe, they getting theirs. They haven't got theirs yet. So he's dealing with them Gentiles. When he deals with them Gentiles, our conduct towards them, when he visits them, they supposed to think, man, I remember how that Israelite was when I met him. He wasn't mean to me. He didn't do nothing to me, but what he did was, I noticed that he didn't do the things that I did. He carried himself a certain way. He didn't look the way I didn't dress the way I dress. He was different. So that's how you teach them. But what do? We go, oh, you filthy Gentile. We stand on the corners yelling, oh, you Gentile, you're wicked. He ain't finna learn nothing from that. But he see love, compassion, righteousness, patience with them. And he also see, I ain't really concerned with you. I'm here for my people. But if you come to me, I'm going to feed you too, just like homeless people. I'm looking for my people, homeless people. I'm looking under bridges for my people. But if a Gentile come up to me and my people ain't around and he hungry, I will feed him just like I will feed my own people. I just ain't looking for him. That's not my calling. Go ahead.
Submit yourselves to every ordinance of man for Yahweh's sake, whether it be to the king as supreme.
All right. So what this is saying, that they like to do with this, they try to make like, oh, you know, this is us trying to, you know, be coons and we do everything. Nah, all it means is if we're in this captivity with the white man ruling us right now by YAH's ordination. We messed up and this was our punishment. So if he put us in here and says that we got to follow these laws, we follow those laws. The only time we don't follow those laws is if their law would cause us to supersede YAH's laws. Nothing supersedes YAH's laws. I don't care what they say. They tell you, the law say you can go ahead, a man could marry another man if he feel like it. That's the law. Here, that ain't YAH's law. I don't care what you say. I ain't marrying no other man. I'm sorry. And I'm not finna marry another man as far as conduct a ceremony for two men to marry. I don't care. You just gonna have to sue me. I don't care what this law say. But if it say, don't, you know what I'm saying, make sure you stop at the stop sign. Stop at the stop sign. That's their law. If you don't like it, get out of the place. Go somewhere else. Go ahead.
Or unto governors, as unto them that are sent by him for the punishment of evildoers, and for the praise of them that do well.
All right, let's stop there. Let's go to Nehemiah, chapter 13. Nehemiah's in the Old Testament. It's towards, it's like after
Ezra.
right. It's after Kings and Chronicles and Ezra.
For Esther and Job.
Right. Nehemiah, it's like the, you know, the middle of the Old Testament. Chapter 13. So we go into the last chapter of Nehemiah. So there were certain actions that we did that caused us to go into this captivity, that caused us to be here. And the problem was we were given these righteous laws, but we wanted to be like the other nations because the other nations had power. They were more in number. Our problem is we always want to do what everybody else is doing. So everybody else is doing one thing, we trying to do that. So when we're in a land like in America, everybody in America keeping Christmas and Halloween and all these pagan holidays. So we following that because that's what everybody is doing. And that caused our destruction. And this is why he wanted us to separate from that, sanctify, separate from that because we following their practices. And we would do what they did often for money because we wanted their money. If there's 4 Israelites in here and there's 30 heathens out there and I got to sell something, it's common sense. I need to sell to them because there's more of them. So we would sacrifice the laws in order to get money with these other nations, which means we had to go to their parties. Like we go to somebody's party because, you know, I'm trying to get in good with them. If I don't show up, they're going to take offense. So we showing up to these Christmas parties and Halloween parties and pagan worship parties and all these different things for money. The same thing we do now. We show up to the Christmas party for what? The Christmas bonus. So you know what I'm saying? So this is what we did. And this is what caused us to be in this state. And now that we're aware of that, we have to place the value in what's important. I want the gifts from y'all. I don't want the gift from man.
Nehemiah chapter 13 and verse 1.
Amen.
On that day they read in the book of Moshe in the audience of the people, and therein was found written that the Ammonite and the Moabite should not come into the congregation of Elohim forever, because they met not the children of Yasharal with bread and with water, but hired Balaam against them, that he should curse them, howbeit all turned the curse into a blessing. Now it came to pass that when they had heard the law, that they separated from Yasharal all the mixed multitude.
What's that word for mixed multitude? It should be Arab.
Page 6154. Let's see. Let's see. Page 6154, Arab. That's mixed, interwoven, mixture, mixed people, mixed company.
All right, so Arab, literally Arab, is mixed multitude. So understand, well, what are they mixing with? A lot of the Arabs are in Arabia, are in that region, which is east of Israel, which also happens to be where Esau is. So while they trying to say white man is Esau, don't make any sense, because that's not my brother. My brother gonna have lips like me, a nose like me, hair that grows toward the sun, not fur. That's not my brother. Now, if you are a Gentile in the spirit, then you are my brother in the spirit, but you're not my brother in the flesh. Now, Esau, when you go to Arabia and Arabs in that area right there, they look like us, but they're a little bit different because they mixed. Because Esau mixed with Ishmael, and Esau mixed with the Canaanites, which are dark-skinned people, by the way. So he wouldn't be light. But if you are ruddy, which is red, ruddy means red. The Hebrew word for red is admoni. The root word of admoni is Adam. Adam. The Edom in Hebrew is the same as Adam in ancient Hebrew. So these red people mixed with these darker people, that would give you a brown, a different brown color. When you mix a reddish with the dark color, gives you more of a brownish color. That's what they look like in those regions because they mixed. Jacob and Esau, their mom said, please don't deal with those people of those regions. Jacob listened to his mother and father and dealt with his people. So that's how you have those mixed multitude. These people mix with all these different things. So even in the definition, it's showing you who Esau is. But because we've been wronged by white people so bad, we want to call him Esau so we can throw him in the lake of fire, so we can destroy him and say, oh, you ain't worth nothing. But even in that, our law says we can't even hate Esau because he is our brother. That white man is not my brother. I'm sorry. To me, that's low spiritual self-esteem if you think that white man is your brother. You even more brainwashed than we thought. Go ahead.
Nehemiah chapter 13 and verse 4.
I'm probably finna get a load of comments for that. But it's all good. I'm gonna tell you the truth. That ain't your brother. I'm sorry.
And before this, Eliashib the priest, having the oversight of the chamber of the house of our Elohim, was allied unto Tobiah. And he had prepared for him a great chamber, where aforetime they laid the meat offerings, the frankincense, and the vessels, and the tithes of the corn, the new wine, and the oil, which was commanded to be given to the Levites, and the singers, and the porters, the offerings of the priests. But in all this time was not I at Jerusalem, for in the 32nd year of Artaxerxes, king of Babylon, came I unto the king, and after certain days obtained I leave of the king.
All right, so Artaxerxes, that's when you see in the movie 300, they say Xerxes, that Persian. So notice in 300, black guy, Persians. But then you go to Prince of Persia, now it's a white guy. That's Hollywood. When he a bad guy, you black. But when you a good guy, he white. That's how Hollywood is. And what they do is to create that division amongst us, which is ridiculous. Because you can't look at somebody's skin color and determine if they're good or bad.
And I came to Jerusalem and understood of the evil that Eliashib did for Tobiah in preparing him a chamber in the courts of the house of Elohim. And it grieved me sore, therefore I cast forth all the household stuff of Tobiah out of the chamber. Then I commanded, and they cleansed the chambers, and there brought I again the vessels of the house of Elohim with the meat offering and the frankincense. And I perceived that the portions of the Levites had not been given them, for the Levites and the singers that did the work were fled every one to his field.
All right, so the Levites were the poor people. The priest was poor. He couldn't be about money. He had to be about YAH's business. And the people had to take care of the priest. That was the reason for tithes. The tithes was given to a priest because he had no job. He didn't get an inheritance of land. All 12 tribes got inheritance of the land, in which once you got land, you could make money off your land, except for the Levites. the Levites were given suburbs outside of each of the tribes so that they could be ministered unto the children of Yasharal. And furthermore, when the Levites had more than they needed, that's the welfare system. The rest of that stuff went from out of the storehouse to the poor, to the widows, to the fatherless. So there should be no way a priest got a Lamborghini or a helicopter or live in a mansion, because the rest of the money supposed to go to the poor people, so that the poor person don't gotta rob you and stick you up in your house, because he can go into your field on the outside of your field and take stuff, because that was the law. And if there wasn't nothing on the outside to take, he can go to the Levites, and the Levites would be like, here you go. That's the welfare system.
And I perceived that the portions of the Levites had not been given them, for the Levites and the singers that did the work were fled everyone to his field. Then contended I with the rulers and said, why is the house of Elohim forsaken? And I gathered them together and set them in their place. Then brought all Yehudah the tithe of the corn and the new wine and the oil unto the treasuries.
Oh, interesting. The tithe. What was the tithe?
It's a tithe of corn,
Corn and
new wine,
wine and oil. Ask for your money. We need food so we can eat, so we can drink, so we can do the drink offerings, so those things. But now all of a sudden, God, put your money in the plate. That's not what tithing is. Go ahead.
And I made treasurers over the treasuries, Shelemiah the priest, and Zadok the scribe, and all of the Levites, Pedaiah, and next to them was Hanan the son of Zakur, the son of Mattaniah, for they were counted faithful, and their office was to distribute unto their brethren.
All right, so when you see Mattaniah, that's Matthew in Hebrew. That's Hebrew for Matthew.
Remember me, O my Elohim, concerning this, and wipe not out my good deeds that I've done for the house of my Elohim, and for the offices thereof.
So what you see is they're preparing to come back into the land, to have, they were in Babylon, and they're coming out of Babylon back into the land. So that means they got to prepare the temples. They got to prepare the physical temple, and they got to prepare themselves. They got to get rid of all this wickedness and start getting things back in order. So that's what atonement was for, to wipe us clean so that we can be clean enough to come back into the house. So it's the same thing we have to do, because we're at the stage where we're preparing to go back into our land, to go back into our home, which means this time is about preparing the temple, cleansing ourselves, getting ourselves ready. And there's only so much that we can do while we're here in Babylon. The last leg of that has to be in the wilderness, because unfortunately we can only be so strong and so clean in this wicked, even the air we breathe in is unclean. So we got to go somewhere else where we can be cleansed.
In those days saw I in Yehudah some treading wine presses on the Shabbat, and bringing in sheaves, and lading donkeys, as also wine, grapes, and figs, and all manner of burdens, which they brought into Jerusalem on the Shabbat day. And I testified against them in the day wherein they sold victuals.
Just like we read, you can't sell on the Sabbath day. You can't buy on the Sabbath day. If you're not bringing this stuff in here to give out for free, to take care of your people, you profaning the Sabbath day. Go ahead.
There dwelt men of Tyre also therein, that brought fish and all manner of ware, and sold on the Shabbat unto the children of Yehudah.
Okay, first of all, Tyre, that's like the Canaanites. How? So you saying, I'm going to let these other people of another nation come in here and sell us something. They ain't going to tell nobody. An Israelite come in here and sell something to you, and another Israelite might see that. But you got these Canaanites of another nation, which is like Palestine, which is like the northern Israel area. Those people come in. I didn't oppress my brother. He working, but my brother, that's that Jewish thinking, how Jewish people think. Well, I can do wickedness to everybody else. I just can't do it to my brother. Nah, it's not how it works.
On the Shabbat unto the children of Yehudah and in Jerusalem. Then I contended with the nobles of Yehudah and said unto them, what evil thing is this that you do and profane the Shabbat day?
You see who he checking? He checking the nobles. How you allowed this in here. If you're in position of authority, you can't turn the blind eye to that stuff. You're responsible for that. How you allow, just like all of y'all, I'm responsible. If y'all come in here with some wickedness, I got to say something, because y'all can say how you the one teaching, how you gonna allow this? Now I can control you. I can't. Now you a man, you men or you women. I can't force you to do anything, but I gotta say something. Like, yo, we can't do that. Go ahead.
Did not your fathers thus, and did not our Elohim bring all this evil upon us and upon this city? Yet you bring more wrath upon Yasharal by profaning the Shabbat.
So he understood. Do you not realize we went to Babylon in captivity because we profaned the Sabbath? People don't want to take that Sabbath serious. More than one occasion, Yah is talking about Sabbath day. You profane. We did a whole bunch of sin, but the sin he constantly bring out is the Sabbath. Profaning the Sabbath. That is my day. That's like you on somebody's birthday, you pee on them on your birthday, on their birthday. You be like, bro, first of all, you peed on me.
Right.
But on my birthday of all days, bro, that's insult to injury. It don't get no worse than that. But people take the Sabbath day like it's nothing. Keeping the Sabbath day not gonna get you salvation. Don't let me get you wrong. You ain't finna get salvation just because you kept the Sabbath day. But what you are is showing him a sign. But you can be barred from salvation because you didn't keep the Sabbath day. Go ahead.
And it came to pass that when the gates of Jerusalem began to be dark before the Shabbat, I commanded that the gates should be shut, and charged that they should not be opened till after the Shabbat. And some of my servants said I at the gates, that there should no burden be brought in on the Shabbat day.
Okay, so verse 19. Highlight this verse right here. This is the verse right here. Then people try to tell you a day starts in the daytime. Don't add up. And it came to pass when the gates of Jerusalem began to be dark before the Shabbat. So it means it was getting dark, then the Shabbat came. Doesn't make any sense if the day starts in the daytime and then you're talking about closing the day. So you're talking about all during the daytime, you're not going to close. That's when you buy stuff in the daytime. But he's saying no, the whole Shabbat, from dark all the way through, I want them gates closed. So you ain't coming in here trying to sell on the Shabbat. So that's haymaker right there to anybody trying to say the day starts, the calendar day starts in the daytime.
So the merchants and sellers of all kind of ware lodged without Jerusalem once or twice. Then I testified against them and said unto them, why lodge you about the wall? If you do so again, I will lay hands on you. From that time forth, can't lay no more on the Shabbat.
Bro, if I catch you around here again, trying to sell to my people on the Shabbat, and this is how it's going to be in the wilderness, by the way. Because once we make it out of Babylon, and those with the Spirit are going to realize, bruh, we out of that grace period now. Folks going to die. If I'm a leader and I have a group of 50 people, and here you come over here trying to sell pork to starving people, I might have to do something to you. Because you might cause my sheep to get killed. If I'm a shepherd. So Nehemiah is the governor. He's the sheriff. He's the one in charge of this. He said, listen, if you come around here again, lodging about this wall, trying to sell to my people, I'm going to put hands on you, bro. Now, I wouldn't do that now. This is the grace period. We can't judge nobody. I can't put no hands on nobody. Even if you deserve it. Because I didn't want nobody to put hands on me when I was doing that foolishness. But when you're coming out of captivity, that's serious. He understood this is what got us into captivity. It's the same thing you're doing right now. When people ask, why did we go into captivity? I can show you several places in this book that said, because you wouldn't keep my Sabbath. You refused to hallow my Sabbath. So are you that zealous for the law? That's the best this man, he willing to go to war over this for his people. And how you think people gonna deal with you when you try to stop their money? Yeah, they got something for you. Yeah, oh yeah, you wanna stop me from getting my money, or you wanna stop me from getting my money? Yeah, I wish you would. Yeah. You think I'm making money? I got a crew. You wanna stop all our money? He didn't care. He loved his people that much. If you don't even Keep the Sabbath day. You think you're going to stand in the breach for your people and say, look, you're going to have to kill me before you sell this stuff to my people. You ain't giving it. You ain't keep it yourself. Go ahead.
And I commanded the Levites that they should cleanse themselves and that they should come and keep the gates to sanctify the Shabbat day. Remember me, O my Elohim, concerning this also, and spare me according to the greatness of your mercy.
All right. So this right here, again, is protecting Yah's temple. Yah's temple is in us, but it's also in you. This is why we say things to one another. You know, some brothers might feel, look, it's not my business to really say nothing to nobody about this or that. No, listen, you got to. You Yah's temple too. No, it's not my business to force you or judge you for what you're doing. Oh, you're going to hell because you're doing this. Who are you? You doing stuff too. That means you going to hell, which is the grave. Or you going to the lake of fire because you doing transgression too. Let's stop right there. Let's go to Leviticus chapter 19. YAH. Leviticus is the
19.
19. YAH. Leviticus chapter 19. So, keeping Yah's temple clean is not only about just not keeping the Sabbath day or just don't eat something unclean. There's more to that. Every time you do wickedness, and wickedness is doing anything against Yah law, that is what makes you unclean. That's what defiles your temple. You could be filthy from your head to your toe, dirty, but your heart is clean. Yah gonna accept that man, that poor homeless person who's doing everything he can to keep Yah's law, rather than you, the cleanest person with the best outfit, the longest fringes, the best head cover, everything.
Leviticus chapter 19 and verse 1.
Rules of conduct.
And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, Speak unto all the congregation of the children of Yasharal, and say unto them, You shall be holy, for I, Yahweh your Elohim, am holy.
So Yah said, you should be Kodesh. Why? Because I'm Kodesh. And if I'm Kodesh and I'm in you, then that means you are holy. So you have to carry and conduct yourself like you are Kodesh, holy. Just don't conduct yourself like you holier than thou, like I'm better than you, you know. I thank Yah that I'm not like this guy over here and all that foolishness. Go ahead.
You shall fear every man his mother and his father, and keep my Shabbats. I am Yahweh your Elohim.
So it's not just your dad. You gotta have reverence and respect for your moms too.
Turn you not unto idols, nor make to yourselves molten ones. I am Yahweh your Elohim. And if you offer a sacrifice offerings unto Yahweh, you shall offer it at your own will. It shall be eaten the same day you offer it, and on the morrow, and if aught remain unto the third day, it shall be burnt in the fire.
Oh, so when we did offerings, majority of the time, what kind of offering was it? What was it that we physically offered? That we ate? We did an offering. What was it?
Burnt offering?
Talk about. It's typically what? Food, livestock, meat. And it says when you offer that, it shall be eaten the same day you offer it. So when you offering a bullock or a lamb, you ate that thing. So how can you tell me we didn't eat meat? So you ain't never offered them. Don't add up. These are doctrines. That's a doctrine that one can't, right out of here. They leaders said, oh, you don't eat meat, you gonna live forever. Where he at? He over there next to that other guy that said he Christ. Go ahead.
And if it be eaten at all on the third day, it is abominable, it shall not be accepted. Therefore, everyone that eats it shall bear his iniquity, because he has profaned the hallowed thing of Yahweh. and that soul shall be cut off from among his people. And when you reap the harvest of your land, you shall not wholly reap the corners of your field, neither shall you gather the gleanings of your harvest.
And that's what I was talking about. When we have, everything that we have does not belong to us. When we have a field of food, we cannot harvest the corners of the field, which is the outside. So if you have a field like this and it's a square, the outside of the field, which is these areas, the perimeter, you can't reap from that. You can't take from that. That don't belong to you, even though it belongs to you. It belongs to the poor, so that they don't have to dig all in the middle of the forest and try to find some food, No, take the outside. The inside is harvested. That's for the poor.
And you shall not glean your vineyard, neither shall you gather every grape of your vineyard. You shall leave them for the poor and the stranger. I am Yahweh your Elohim.
So he ain't gotta steal. So he ain't gotta rob somebody. So he don't just starve to death. This is the test. I will give you more than what you need to see what you're gonna do with it. You gonna help people with it, or you gonna store it up and make more money? Go ahead.
You shall not steal, neither deal falsely, neither lie one to another.
And you stole if you reap the corner of your field, because they don't belong to you. Go ahead.
And you shall not swear by my name falsely, neither shall you profane the name of your Elohim. I am Yahweh.
So we think profaning the name of Elohim when we was, in our ignorant state, we say, God damn it. Oh man, you done profane, or Lord Christ, Jesus Christ. I can't believe that's not profaning. When David, King David, when he slept with that married woman, Nathan, the prophet, said, you profane Yah's name because you are named after him. You are Israel, Yasharah. And now you cause people to look at Yah's people in a negative state because of your actions. And that's what we do. We profane Yah's name when we are named after him. We are his people, and we conduct ourselves like the rest of the nations do. Go ahead.
You shall not defraud your neighbor, neither rob him. The wages of him that is hired shall not abide with you all night until the morning. You shall not curse the deaf, nor put a stumbling block before the blind, but shall fear your Elohim. I am Yahweh. You shall do no unrighteousness in judgment. You shall not respect the person of the poor, nor honor the person of the mighty, but in righteousness shall you judge your neighbor. You shall not go up and down as a talebearer among your people, neither shall you stand against the blood of your neighbor. I am.
Look at talebearer. What's the Hebrew word for talebearer?
So, 1960. The word for talebearer is H7400, and it's Raquel. Slander, slanderer, talebearer, informer, Takeshi 6.
Right? Yeah, I marked myself safe from 6ix9ine's testimony. Hey man, snitching on everybody, bro.
A scandalmonger.
Right. Scandalmongers. People that always got to talk about somebody else's business. Oh, such and such is this or that. How you know? You talk to the person? Right. You talk to both sides?
Right.
No, you didn't. You believe what you want to believe. I speak on what I know about. I can't speak on something that I haven't heard both sides on. And when I speak, I'm speaking in the presence of those people so that I can rebuke or I can protect. But we love that talebearer, and that's why Real Housewives of Atlanta and all these dramas and Power, we just love drama to talk about it so we can look and point at everybody else's drama instead of looking at our own drama. That's against the commandments. You can't do that. We are taught to be righteous people. It says we will judge angels. So how are we going to judge anybody if we don't understand what righteous judgment is? We got to hear both sides of the story. We got to see diligently into a matter. ahead.
Wasn't it Proverbs that said something like a talebearer separates chief friends?
Yep. Yep. You know, such and such over there was saying that you need to da-da-da. What? He said, what? No, I thought that was my own boy. Yeah, I heard that. He was over here telling the. How you know? Did you talk to the man and ask him? You say, hey, bro, I just heard. Somebody just told me. You ain't a talebearer. Somebody told you something. You go, look, I heard that you said this. Is that true? That's seeking diligently. But just because you heard somebody said something, then you say, man, such and such said you was a punk. What? How you know that? Because you believe what you want to believe. That's how gossip is. When somebody say something and you just accept it and you didn't seek diligently, because that's what you want to believe in your heart. If somebody tell you, man, yeah, Don was out there eating pork chops. You go, man, you sound like a fool, bruh. Hold up. I'm calling him right now. Whoa, wait, hey, let's not be hasty here. Let's not be hasty. No, I'm calling. Yeah, Don, you was eating pork? It's a dial tone. Well, we know he wasn't eating pork. You call me with that BS. You know damn well I ain't eating no pork. Because you know me. And that's why you don't want to believe that, because you know me. But if you don't know me and you don't like me, yeah, I bet he did. I bet he had some shrimp too. Because you believe what you want to believe. Don't be that way. Seek diligently into a matter. Don't want to believe the worst in people. Want to believe the good in people and verify that.
Leviticus chapter 19 and verse 17. You shall not hate your brother in your heart. You shall in any wise rebuke your neighbor and not suffer sin upon him.
There you go. Just like I said, you can't just allow somebody to do wickedness and not say nothing to him. It says, you shall not hate your brother. How do you hate your brother? In your heart. When you see him doing wickedness and you don't say nothing, knowing that sin causes death. So you hate your brother so much, you a murderer. That's why I say he who hates his brother is a murderer. Because you're not going to say nothing when he's sitting unto the death of his life. Now, I didn't say you shall judge your neighbor. Don't say that. You say something. Bruh, you know we can't do that, bruh. According to our commandments, don't do that. All right? I said something.
You shall not avenge nor bear any grudge against the children of your people, but you shall love your neighbor as yourself. I am Yahweh.
So you can't have beef with your people. You got to let it go. You did something to me, and see, that's the hardest thing. What about if your wife, your people? Or ex-wife? What about if your best friend, your teacher, your cousin, your neighbor of your people did some foul stuff to you? You can't bear a grudge against them. It don't mean continue being a fool for them, but you can't hate them in your heart. You got to let it go. Y'all gonna deal with that the same way he dealt with you when you was in your wickedness. These are commandments. These aren't suggestions. Go ahead.
You shall keep my statutes. You shall not let your cattle gender with a diverse kind.
You can't be mixing animals together, creating a liger. They got it right there, the pine thing, whatever, pine mountain, whatever. They got a lion tiger mix. That's wickedness. And when you go see the animal, the most depressed thing you've ever seen. He's just sitting there all depressed. Like, oh, where am I?
You shall not sow your field with mingled seed, neither shall a garment mingled of linen and wool come upon you.
No mixed fabric, no mixed food. Dr. Sebi talks about that. He talks about certain hybrid fruits. They're very acidic, or vegetables. They're not good for you because they're mixed between two. They're not original things.
And whosoever lies carnally with a woman that is a bondmaid betrothed to a husband and not at all redeemed, nor freedom given her, she shall be scourged. They shall not be put to death because she was not free. And he shall bring his trespass offering unto Yahweh at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, even a ram for a trespass offering.
All right, so what this is saying is whoever sleeps with a servant, a bondmaid is somebody who belongs to a master that has that she has sold herself into bondage to that person for a certain amount of years or whatever the case may be. And she's betrothed to a husband. Why are they calling him a husband? Because there's a betrothal here. There's a promise. She's reconciled unto that husband. And not at all redeemed, nor freedom given to her, which means the husband didn't buy his wife out of bondage. She shall be scourged, but they shall not be put to death. Because if she was a free woman and you slept with somebody's betrothed woman, they both go to death. That's adultery. Y'all don't play with his covenants. But here it said because she was not free, she's still in bondage, then you got to pay that price. Go ahead.
And the priest shall make an atonement for him with the ram of the trespass offering before Yahweh for his sin which he has done. And the sin which he has done shall be forgiven him. And when you shall come into the land, and shall have planted all manner of trees for food, then you shall count the fruit thereof as uncircumcised. 3 years shall it be as uncircumcised unto you, it shall not be eaten of.
So when you come into the land, which is our land, and you plant trees, you got to leave 3 years before you can eat of that fruit. And why is that? Because the fruit has to grow, then has to drop on its own, fertilize the ground, then the fruit comes back up, grow another year, fertilize the ground, then third year grows, falls down, then that fourth year coming around, now that fruit is good. It has the good nutrients. It's not as acidic. It's developed. The tree is developed. Everything got the nutrients that it needs so that it could be produced fruitful. But if you're eating it right away, that's not going to really bear fruit the way it's supposed to. So God he don't just say these things for no reason.
But in the 4th year, all the fruit thereof shall be holy to praise Yahweh withal.
So you can give the first fruits. You can give it to Yah.
And in the 5th year shall you eat of the fruit thereof, that it may yield unto you the increase thereof. I am Yahweh Elohim.
All right. So in the 5th year, you can eat of that fruit. So the 4th year, offer that unto Yah. In the 5th year, you can eat.
You said
Go
offer
ahead.
it to Yah. What's your example of offering it to Yah?
First fruits. Wave it before Yah and it's offered to Yah. But it's saying here you can't eat of that fruit until the 5th year.
So in today's society, it's not giving it to. I guess I'm just trying to figure out. You said in the holy day, first fruits. That's how you offer.
This is when we were in the land and we had our own stuff. We offer that fruit, but we're not really supposed to eat of it until the 5th year. So in that 4th year, you're not supposed to eat of that fruit. But when you offer it, I would think that it's okay to give it to the homeless and do stuff like that, because that's how you offer it to Yah. Y'all don't need to eat your fruit.
You shall not eat anything with the blood, neither shall you use enchantment nor observe times.
All right. So eat anything of the blood. You can't eat that steak that's bloody. That medium well steak, it got to be cooked. There can't be any blood in it. Because the blood has disease in it. We know that. It's got all kind of different things. And it carries the spirit of the animal. So when you're eating all this meat with all this blood in it, you're getting that spirit of that animal. You can see why people act so animalistic.
You shall not round the corners of your heads, neither shall you mar the corners of your beard.
Let's look at that. So round the corners of your head. So what we thought was you can't tape yourself up. You can't give yourself a nice little tape in the front because you're rounding the corners of your head. Let's see what that means. What's the word for round the corners of your heads? Let's look at those Strongs.
Round is H5362, and it says to strike off skin, to go around, compass.
To strike off skin. Can't cut yourself. And what's the corners? What's that?
The corners is H6285, PR, which means the corner, edge, side, quarter, properly in the sense that is direction, region, extremity, corner, end, quarter, side.
All right. So you can't cut the corners of your head, your skin. Why are they saying this? Because when we go into Canaan, that's what the Hamites do. They cut themselves. You can go look and Google it. You can see the cuts that they put on themselves for their tribes. Go ahead.
Do not prostitute your daughter.
No. Verse 27, 28.
Oh, okay. You shall not make any cuttings in your flesh for the dead, nor print any marks upon you. I am Yahweh.
Okay. So what is cuttings flesh for the dead?
Cuttings is H8296, and it means seret, and incision, cutting, and in your flesh is H1320, means flesh of the body. Let's see.
Okay. So you're not supposed to cut your flesh. This is what people would do for their ancestors. Somebody died, they cut themselves. This is for my dead homie, whatever. This is what the heathen does. They cut. You ain't supposed to cut your skin. Period. Cutting of your skin is a circumcision. So they had to give us these laws because that's what the people of the land did. We didn't do this type of stuff. Nor print any marks upon you. What's that?
Print any marks upon you. Print is H5414. Nathan or Nathan. To apply, appoint, ascribe, assign, avenge, bestow, charge, commit, consider, direct.
Okay.
That's a lot of words.
So print any marks. What's marks?
Mark. It's H7085, and it says Ka'aka, incision, imprintment, tattoo, mark, or incision or gash.
All right. So we're not supposed to have tattoos. This is something that, it's not our culture. We don't do those things. Now, many of us got tattoos. I got 2 of them. But these aren't tattoos I got in the Word. I didn't know any better. And I left it there as a reminder to me of my old way of where I come. Many of us, but you got people writing YAH on their arm. And I mean, what kind of foolishness is that? You in the Word and now you putting tattoos on your body? Literally, writings or marks. Now, cuttings in your flesh for the dead. Go ahead.
Do not prostitute your daughter to cause her to be a whore, lest the land fall to whoredom and the land become full of wickedness.
So what people would do is they would sell their daughter for sex so they could get money. That's literally prostituting your daughter. They would come on poor times and they'd sell their daughters to brothels so that the priests could sleep with these women. This is Israel. So priests could sleep with the women. This is what you saw with Tamar and Judah. Judah went where all the prostitutes were so he can get a prostitute. Ended up getting his daughter-in-law. Go ahead.
You shall keep my Shabbats and reverence my sanctuary. I am Yahweh. Regard not them that have familiar spirits, neither seek after wizards to be defiled by them. I am Yahweh your Elohim.
Don't seek after anybody who's trying to tap into any other spirit other than Yah.
You shall rise up before the hoary head and honor the face of the old man and fear your Elohim. I am Yahweh.
That's a commandment. Rise up. Stand up before the elder. Have respect. Yah gave this man life. That's the only honor that man can't give nobody. I can call you a captain, a king. I can make you whatever I want. I can't make you the elder. Only Yah can grant that. So have respect to that.
And if a stranger sojourn with you in your land, you shall not vex him.
Don't vex the stranger. Just because they're of another nation don't give you a right to talk down to them or act like they less than you. What they gonna think of Yah? They gonna say, well, obviously your God is not that righteous because that's not right. I didn't do anything to anybody. But these camps ain't acting like this. These camps sitting out here, not all camps. They're attacking these strangers. Calling them all kind of things. The stranger don't know Yah. But the stranger might be doing good deeds and helping people just off the spirit of Yah that's in them. And instead of drawing them closer to Yah by showing them the righteousness of our law, we crapping on them. That's not righteousness. That don't make you any better.
But the stranger that dwells with you shall be unto you as one born among you, and you shall love him as yourself. For you were strangers in the land of Mitzrayim. I am Yahweh your Elohim.
So that goes to your question you asked the other day. If they dwell amongst you, if a Gentile comes to your home and dwells with you or is under your covering, you got to love them like your own people. But they got to keep your laws because they in your house, they in your stuff. Love them like you love yourself. You don't treat them like they less than you because they're a Gentile. Now, they can't do certain things because that's against the law. But just like a woman can't do certain things or a man can't do certain things, that's the law. Don't mean that you treating them bad. So we can't forget these laws. Just because all the nations have come to one consent and have transgressed against us doesn't give us the right to treat them any less. Unless they're acting less, unless they're doing wickedness, then you don't have to treat them, all nice and bring them into your home. But if they're walking in righteousness, treat them with love.
You shall do no unrighteousness in judgment, in meat yard, in weight, or in measure. Just balances, just weights, a just ephah, just hin shall you have. I am Yahweh your Elohim, which brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim.
So when you get that little scale and you weighing something out, you put that nickel on that scale and it better weigh 5 grams. Because if it don't weigh 5 grams, that means your scale is off. And that's wickedness. Can't do that. It has to be a just weight. It has to be righteous. And you got to measure things the same. You can't say, oh, I'm going to pay you $50, I'm going to pay him $20. And they're doing the exact same thing, but he's my homeboy, so I'm going to pay him more. That's unrighteousness. The job say you're going to pay $50 and you pay $50. Now, if you advertise you're going to pay a different price, that's on you. But if you say it's $50, you can't lie to him. Got to be righteousness.
Therefore shall you observe all my statutes and all my judgments, and do them. I am Yahweh.
How many statutes do we have to do in judgments?
All of them.
All of them. You can't pick and choose. You offending one, you offending all.
To me, the beauty about this is that what we just read in Torah itself is just a list of, like a step-by-step guide on how not to defile your temple.
Amen. That's what the whole thing is about. How to keep your temple holy. Go back a few chapters to Leviticus 11. Everything all right? Everything okay?
Yeah, everything.
Okay. YAH chapter 11. We're going to Leviticus chapter 11. Go back a few chapters. There's a lot of Torah we reading right now, but these are the laws. Christ ain't do away with this stuff. He said not one jot, not one tittle shall fall from the law till all be fulfilled. The only thing we don't do is the blood sacrifice, which means sacrificing animals and sacrificing people when they do something wrong.
Leviticus what?
11. He was the sacrifice. So he bought us that grace period from sin, the law of sin and death. He don't mean he bought us the right to go be wicked. We got to follow all of these things. So now we're dealing with the foods that make you clean or unclean. Now Yahshua is saying what really makes you spiritually unclean is what comes out of your mouth. But what he was talking about was when they addressed him about eating with unwashed hands. He wasn't talking about clean and unclean food. He let you know what was unclean because he took the evil spirits and sent them into a pig. Just like I said, would you take diamonds and put it in the toilet? Would you put diamonds in the toilet? Nah. But would you put garbage in a trash can? So that's what he did. He put garbage, these unclean spirits, into a trash can, a pig. Pig ain't bad. We need pigs. Pig eat anything. Pigs clean and clear the land. So the pig will eat the dead bodies and eat the bones and eat rubber, eat whatever. They're trash can. They're nature's trash can. They're not evil. It's for its purpose. But you don't take the trash and put the trash in your mouth. That's retarded. But where did we learn that from? The heathens. Leviticus chapter 11.
And Yahweh spake unto Moshe and unto Aaron, saying unto them, Speak unto the children of Yasharal, these are the beasts which you shall eat among all the beasts that are on the earth.
So why would he tell us these are the meat animals you can eat if we can't eat meat? Now, a lot of meat ain't good for you. A lot of meat, we saw what happened when they ate a lot of meat in Exodus. They had snot. When they say meat coming out their nostrils, meat turns to mucus. That's why they had all this. When you got a mucus buildup, you eating too much meat. Cut down the meat, you're going to cut down the mucus.
Whatsoever parts the hoof, and is cloven-footed, and chews the cud among the beasts, that shall you eat.
So it has to have a parted hoof. It can't have a hoof altogether. Perfect example, horse. You see a horseshoe, what it look like? There's no part in it. There's no part. So it has to have a parted hoof. Go ahead.
Nevertheless, these shall you not eat of them that chew the cud, or of them that divide the hoof. As the camel, because he chews the cud, but divides not the hoof, he is unclean unto you. And the coney, because he chews the cud, but divides not the hoof, he is unclean unto you.
So what's the coney? What is that?
Coney is a badger.
That's right here.
That's notes. That's study notes.
Rock badgers. That's what
It's a bat. It's a what?
badger.
A rock badger.
Rock badger.
So I don't know what a rock badger is, but so this badger don't eat it. And it says, and the hare, because with hare is a rabbit, because he chews the cud but divides not the hoof, he's unclean unto you also.
And the swine, though he divide the hoof, and be cloven-footed, yet he chews not the cud, he is unclean.
So
to you.
a swine, a pig, this is why we can't eat, it's unclean. Now, people say, oh, you know, that's way back in the day because these animals were unclean. What? They were more clean then than they are now. No, there's a reason. The pig has strychnine, whatever. It's a chemical inside the pig that allows a pig to be bitten by a snake and not die. Allows it to eat dead animals and not die. Allows it to eat anything and not die because that chemical breaks things down. It destroys, it disintegrates things. So now you put that same chemical in your body, what you think it's doing to your body? It's destroying you from the inside. That's why the first thing they tell to sick patients is stop eating pork. Cut down on the red meat.
Or of their flesh shall you not eat, and their carcass shall you not touch, they are unclean to you.
Their carcass. So it doesn't say if a pig come around, you can't touch the pig. How you gonna be a pig farmer or whatever, and you can't touch the pig? You can't touch the carcass. The dead body of a pig, you can't touch.
These
Definitely can't eat it.
These shall you eat of all that are in the waters.
Very simple. So we know what you can eat of those unclean, of the clean animals. Now of the waters in the ocean, these are the only things you can eat. It's very, very simple. Because if you ever get yourself in a situation where 75% of the earth is water, so chances are that's where you're gonna get your food from. Even if it's desert land and you get close to the water, there's gonna be food there. This is how you know what you can eat. It's very, very simple. You just gotta look for two things. Go ahead.
Whatsoever has fins and scales in the waters, in the seas and in the rivers, them shall you eat.
So if it has fins, the little fins, and scales, you gotta scale it. You can eat it. If it does not have both fins and scales, you cannot eat. Catfish does not have scales. It's slimy. It's a bottom feeder. It eats dead things. It's the garbage disposal of the earth. It's eating dead animals. The clam, does it have fins? Does it have scales? Can't eat it. What about a lobster? Shrimp is literally the cockroach of the ocean. If you look up shrimps, science, it's the exact same family as the roach. And if you put them together, They got the same little antennas and the little feet and everything, just one in the water and one is on the earth. And you gotta literally, they call it deveining. No, decrapping. That's crap that you gotta remove out. And what is it eating? Not vegetables it's eating dead feces, dead animals, whatever. So when you're eating all these garbage disposals of the ocean, what is that doing to the clean animals? Now the clean fish got too much mercury and got too much stuff because it's breathing in all the unfiltered stuff because we eating off all the things. We got a video on Israelite Gathering where they got this mucky, disgusting, and they put clams in it and they left it there. Within a few hours, the water was crystal clear. Now, what you think all that muck went into the clams? Now you gonna eat that?
I saw a slug go crawl up inside of a lobster. And then you go buy it. You don't know what's in there.
Worms and all.
You don't
It's
know.
disgusting.
It's gross.
I had to learn to like those things. When I was a kid, I was like,
I never
ugh.
liked it. I had a lobster once. I cooked it. I went and bought it, and I heard it die. And it's like, eh. And then it was the spill. I was just, it wasn't for me. I was like, I'm good.
I ain't gonna lie, I used to eat crap out of some shrimps,
I mean, I like
crab
shrimp.
legs,
I didn't like
all
the
that
vein in
lobster. I remember my dad, we went out to eat at dinner one time, and like, I don't know, I just had an uncanny way of ordering the most expensive stuff. and I'll never forget, my mom was like, no, you ain't getting no lobster. My dad was like, no, that's the prince. You want some lobster? Get some lobster. You couldn't afford it for me anyways. You know what I'm saying? But that was his way of love. He would have knew better. He wouldn't have did that.
Yeah.
Verse 10, and all that have not fins and scales in the seas, and in the rivers, and all that move in the waters, and of any living thing which is in the waters, they shall be an abomination unto you.
Now, unclean is one thing. Abomination is a whole nother level. Lying is a sin. Lying is a sin. Homosexuality is an abomination. Exceedingly wicked. Now, that don't mean you judge the individual. Sin is it only take one sin for death. But you want to let somebody know what you're doing is an abomination to y'all. It's unclean. I'm not going to judge you. I don't hate you, but it's unclean. Now, if you're going to hate everybody that's a sinner, you're going to hate yourself. You're going to hate everybody. Go ahead.
They shall be even an abomination unto you. You shall not eat of their flesh, but you shall have their carcasses in abomination. Whatsoever has no fins nor scales in the waters, that shall be an abomination unto you.
Doesn't mean you go kill off all those things that are abomination. They have their purpose. Those animals that are in the ocean do their job. Go ahead.
And these are they which you shall have an abomination among the fowls. They shall not be eaten. They are an abomination, the eagle, and the ossifrage, and the osprey, and the vulture, and the kite after his kind, every raven after his kind, and the owl, and the nighthawk, and the cuckow, and the hawk after his kind.
These are like birds of prey that fly down and eat things and attack things because they're eating a live animal and their body has to have certain kind of chemicals that allows them not to die. We have to cook our food. We eat certain things raw, we're going to get sick because you're eating it, the blood. You're eating the blood. So we don't want those things that eat with the blood like that. Go ahead.
And the little owl, and the cormorant, and the great owl, and the swan, and the pelican, and the gyre eagle, and the stork, the heron after her kind, and the lapwing, and the bat. All fowls that creep, going upon all four, shall be an abomination unto you.
All right, so I know I seen recently people trying to say you can't eat chicken. Don't say that in here. They're like, oh, because the chicken is this. Okay. And what's so funny is the people that say you can't eat chicken, they just against eating meat, period.
Right.
I even seen one brother who put a whole platform about you can't eat chicken, but then the brothers sell chicken. They get the crap out of here with that, man. So you can't eat it. You on a platform saying you can't eat it, but you selling it to your own people. Go ahead. You know you shouldn't take crack, but if you need it, I got you.
Right. Yet these may you eat of every flying, creeping thing that goes upon all four, which have legs above their feet, to leap withal upon the earth. Even these of them you may eat, the locust after his kind, and the bald locust after his kind, and the beetle after his kind, and the grasshopper after his kind.
That's incorrect. Can't eat no grasshopper. Look at that Strong's. What's the word for grasshopper?
The word for grasshopper is H2284, and that's locust.
Oh, a locust. So why didn't they just say that? All other flying, creeping things which have 4 feet shall be an abomination to you. Grasshopper. What about this beetle? You can eat beetles? Look at that word for beetle.
2728. It says here a leaping insect that is a locust.
Again,
Beetle?
not a beetle. These are locusts. These are type of locusts that you can eat. That's wickedness. You don't eat no grasshopper. You don't eat no beetles. There are certain things like the fake raspberry taste that they make. That's why you gotta be careful with things with raspberry. What they use a certain type of beetle that gives you a raspberry type of taste. So be careful when you see anything with raspberry, even some strawberry. They use that certain red beetle or some kind of beetle that gives you that taste. That's how wicked this place is. This is why we gotta be out of here, man. You thinking you drinking some raspberry lemonade and you drinking beetle, literally drinking beetle juice.
With all other flying, creeping things which have 4 feet shall be an abomination unto you. And for these you shall be unclean. Whosoever toucheth the carcass of them shall be unclean until the even.
And you see why we naturally, I don't want to touch that bug. Naturally, our body is saying, don't touch these things.
What you gonna eat? Excuse me.
You're going to eat something that you don't want to touch. Go ahead.
And whosoever bears aught of the carcass of them shall wash his clothes and be unclean until the even.
Why are you unclean until the even? Why would you be unclean until the even? Why is that a marker? What happens in the even?
It's a new day.
A new day starts.
The carcasses of every beast which divides the hoof, and is not cloven-footed, nor chews the cud, are unclean unto you. Everyone that touches them shall be unclean. And whatsoever goes upon his paws among all manner of beasts that go on all 4, those are unclean unto you. Whoso toucheth their carcass shall be unclean until the even.
So can you have dog,
No,
fox,
no,
bear?
no.
Nah. Go ahead.
And he that bears the carcass of them shall wash his clothes and be unclean until the even. They are unclean unto you.
What about a, well, we didn't get there yet. Go ahead.
These also shall be unclean unto you among the creeping things that creep upon the earth, the weasel, and the mouse, and the tortoise after his kind.
So if you can't eat a mouse, can you eat a rat? Careful with that Chinese food. Go ahead.
And the chameleon, and the lizard, and the snail, and the mole.
Escargot. Can't eat that. Snails. Escargot is snails.
These are unclean to you among all that creep. Whosoever does touch them, when they be dead, shall be unclean until the even.
When they're dead. So if you have a bug or one of these things in your house with your hand, try not to touch it with your hand. Because once you kill that, you're unclean. So technically, you kill a mosquito, it's dead on you, you're unclean.
And upon whatsoever any of them, when they are dead, does fall, it shall be unclean, whether it be any vessel of wood, or raiment, or skin, or sack. Whatsoever vessel it be, wherein any work is done, and it must be put into water, and it shall be unclean until the even, so shall it be cleansed.
All right, so you got to clean it off with water, and then it's clean when the even comes. Go ahead.
In every earthen vessel whereunto any of them falls, whatsoever is in it shall be unclean, and you shall break it. of all meat which may be eaten, that on which such water comes shall be unclean, and all drink that it may be drunk in every such vessel shall be unclean. And everything whereupon part of their carcass falls shall be unclean, whether it be oven or ranges for pots. They shall be broken down, for they are unclean, and shall be unclean unto you. Nevertheless, a fountain or pit, wherein there is plenty of water, shall be clean, but that which toucheth their carcass shall be unclean. And if any part of their carcass fall upon any sowing seed which is to be sown, it shall be clean. But if any water be upon the seed, and any part of their carcass fall thereon, it shall be unclean unto you.
In other words, that seed, if you have seeds and you find a dead animal in the seeds, it's still clean. You just gotta get the dead animal out of the seeds. But if it's water on it, if the animal got in and water got in there, it's unclean now, because that water is what activates a seed and causes it to open up. And that seed could have opened up, or seeds could have opened up and got that unclean into that plant. And now you're mixing the unclean DNA and unclean blood or whatever into that plant that you're trying to plant.
And if any beast of which you may eat die, he that toucheth the carcass thereof shall be unclean unto the evening. And he that eats of the carcass of it shall wash his clothes, and be unclean until the evening. He also that bears the carcass of it shall wash his clothes, and be unclean until the evening. And every creeping thing that creeps upon the earth shall be an abomination, it shall not be eaten. Whatsoever goes upon the belly, and whatsoever goes upon all four, or whatsoever has more feet among all creeping things that creep upon the earth, them you shall not eat, for they are an abomination.
All right, so 39 and 40 is a little confusing. It says, if any beast of which you may eat die, he that touches the carcass thereof shall be unclean until the evening. Now, if it died of itself, you don't want to eat that, because you don't know what it died from. Could die from snake bite, could die from disease, could die from anything. But if it hit the animal or whatever, and you struck the animal, broke its neck or something like that, then it's still a decent animal, but it's still unclean because it's dead. So he that eat of the carcass of it shall wash his clothes and be unclean until the evening. He also that bear the carcass of it shall wash his clothes and be unclean until the evening. So if you eat of that carcass, you unclean until the evening. Go ahead.
You shall not make yourselves abominable with any creeping thing that creeps, neither shall you make yourselves unclean with them, that you should be defiled thereby. For I am Yahweh your Elohim. You shall therefore sanctify yourselves, and you shall be holy, for I am holy. Neither shall you defile yourselves with any manner of creeping thing that creeps upon the earth.
So it says, you shall not make yourselves abominable. So that's what you do. You make yourself an abomination. So you on par with all those other things that he says is abomination. Ingest these type of things. He said, sanctify yourselves. I'm holy, so you be holy. He wants to put his spirit in you. He can't do that. You were created to hold his spirit. He can't do that if you make it the vessel like a toilet bowl.
For I am Yahweh that brings you up out of the land of Mitzrayim to be your Elohim. You shall therefore be holy, for I am holy.
So when he keeps repeating these things, you say, oh man, you keep saying this over and over, because that's what my father does. He keeps saying things over and over because we don't hear. It's repetition. Why you think your dad keep telling you things over and over and over and over and over? Man, I know, Dad, I know. Then why you ain't do it? Yeah, I'm gonna tell you again and again and again and again, like Wu-Tang. Go ahead.
This is the law of the beast and of the fowl and of every living creature that moves in the waters and of every creature that creeps upon the earth, to make a difference between the unclean and the clean, and between the beast that may be eaten and the beast that may not be eaten.
Again, I don't know of any beast that is made of vegetables. You? Anybody heard of a vegetable beast? I've never heard of that. Beast is an animal. I'm sorry. You can eat meat. All right, let's go to the conclusion. Let's go to let's go to Ezekiel chapter 11. And we're just going to read verses 14 21. Ezekiel's after Isaiah and Jeremiah and all that in the Old Testament. After prophets. It's right before Daniel. Ezekiel, Ezekiel, chapter 11. And we're just going to read verses 14 through 21 for the conclusion. So, the temple is in us. So because the temple is in us, there's certain things that we could not do until we had a temple. Certain ways to worship and do certain things we couldn't do without the temple. This is why we can't keep the holy days. We can observe the holy days. Because to keep the holy days, we have to be in the Holy Land. To do certain sacrifices, we had to be in the Holy Land. He knew that we were going to be shipped into every nation of the earth. So he still had to provide a way for us to be able to do things with the temple. That's why the temple is in us. We are his temple. So he promised us that he would always provide a temple for us no matter where we are. Because we are the temple. As long as we're in the area, that's the temple. That's why he said, sanctify yourselves. And this is why we sanctify the room.
Ezekiel chapter 11 and verse 14. Again, the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, your brethren, even your brethren, the men of your kindred, and all the house of Yasharal, holy are they unto whom the inhabitants of Jerusalem have said, Get you far from Yahweh, unto us is this land given in possession. Therefore say, Thus says my sovereign Yahweh, although I have...
All right, and that right there is the Adonai Elohim. Yah wasn't in there. It's the Adonai Elohim, Lord to God.
Although I have cast them far off among the heathen, and although I have scattered them among the countries, yet will I be to them as a little sanctuary in the countries where they shall come.
I will be, although I have scattered them among the countries. Who else has been scattered amongst the countries? No, sorry. No, they went to Jamaica. That's about it. But anyway, no. We have been scattered among the countries. But he said, yet will I be to them a little sanctuary in the countries where they shall come. Where they shall come. This is prophecy. It didn't even happen yet. This us. We the ones scattered. We the only ones that when you cut on the Olympics, you're going to see somebody that look exactly like us. Speaking some weird language. With a fade and a part. Bro, he look like he's straight out of Decatur. But he speaks a weird language I ain't never heard before. And he fast. Faster than everybody. Go ahead.
Therefore say, Thus says my sovereign Yahweh, I will even gather you from the people, and assemble you out of the countries where you have been scattered, and I will give you the land of Yasharal. And they shall come there, and they shall take away all the detestable things thereof, and all the abominations thereof from thence.
That's our job. Even though I scattered them, I'm going to gather you from the people and assemble you out of the countries where you have been scattered. Where are you going to assemble you? Back into that country you've been scattered? That's retarded. This is punishment. The opposite of punishment is you're allowed to come out. Go outside. You are able to go. Be free. Now we're going back to our country. Back to our land. This ain't our land. And when we go into that land, we supposed to get rid of all those abominations and all those idols and all those things that the Jewish people put up there. Ain't got nothing to do with us. But how are we going to do that if we taking the abomination into ourselves? Go ahead.
And I will give them one heart, and will put a new spirit within you. And I will take the stony heart out of their flesh, and will give them a heart of flesh, that they may walk in my statutes and keep my ordinances and do them, and they shall be my people, and I will be their Elohim.
All right. So if I'm giving you a heart of flesh, taking away your stony heart, He's telling you what that looks like. When you walking in his statutes and keeping his ordinances and doing them, that's what makes you his people. If a Gentile want to do this, he they people. If you don't want to do this, I don't care if you bloodline Israel. You are not his people. You are not Yasharal. Yasharal is power with God, power with El, upright of El. You ain't that without his keeping his statutes and his ordinances. So it ain't about your skin color, ain't about your nationality. You his people if you walking in his statutes and keeping his ordinances to the best of your ability. Go ahead.
But as for them whose heart walks after the heart of their detestable things and their abominations, I will recompense their way upon their own head, says my sovereign Yahweh.
It says the Adonai Elohim. This is the word, the Savior word of Yah. He's the one who's coming to recompense. While they waiting for sweet baby Jesus to come down here and give them high fives and wink and bang? Nah, you know the wink and bang. Nah, he coming down here with a sword to recompense their way upon their own heads, because you are vessels that are supposed to have the Holy Spirit, and I can't put the Holy Spirit in you because you're abominable. So I have to destroy that vessel. So I'd rather him destroy that vessel now here, where I'm broken down and that old man dies and that new man arises, rather than him come down here in the flesh. That new flesh that don't have blood. That new body that can go up with 144,000 people ready to kill. That's what the 144 is doing. They're going with Yahshua everywhere. And Yahshua is coming here to kill. He's a God, king, high priest. The high priest does the sacrifice. It takes the blood of the sinner to atone for the land. The land was defiled by the blood of the innocent. Go ahead. Finish that up.
You want me to read the rest, or we stop in 20 minutes?
Yeah, we can stop there. So that's all we're going to do today. So again, this is all about preparing our temples. Because we don't know if this tabernacles, we say this every year, the trumpets we had could be announcing the birth of this kingdom, the birth of Yah's kingdom, the stone kingdom returning. The stone kingdom that was going to knock down that image in Babylon that Daniel prophesied, all those kingdoms that was going to rule, and that stone kingdom was going to knock it down. The trumpets that passed this year could be the announcement of that kingdom coming. Atonement could be us being wiped of our sins so that we could prepare to walk in Yah's house. That's what tabernacles is. That's why tabernacles is 8 days. 7 days is a number of completion. The 8th day is a new thing. We ain't never had an 8th day. 8th day is the new thing. It's a different thing. That's the 1,000 years of peace. The 8th day, man, you get circumcised on the 8th day because you're getting circumcised of that beast. That beast is the 7th day, man. The 8th day is that new creature that has a heart of flesh, not a stony heart. The stony heart had those old commandments on there that says an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. Blood for blood. That's that old law that was stone. That new law is of the heart of flesh that says, nah, we're not going to kill. We're going to let that go for right now during that grace period. And we're going to learn how to do the right thing. So that when that time comes back that we're going to do those sacrifices, we're not doing those things. And if we are recovered, because we have a real righteous priest in our land, the priest of Zadok, that can do those sacrifices for us when we make mistakes. So that's all we're going to do. Any last questions or comments before we close in prayer? All right. Can you check real quick on Facebook and see if we had any comments? Or you've been looking? Any questions?
Any questions?
All right, cool. All right, let's go to closing the prayer. All brothers remove their head coverings. And all sisters pray with their heads covered. We get in that Old Testament, folk don't want to hang around too long. That's just.
Well, it's the Old Testament. Don't have to do it anymore.
All right. And Brother Linnell Mangan, absolutely. Now is mercy and forgiveness. All praise unto Yahweh. Hallelujah, brother. Abba Father, Yah, Elohim, the Allah of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Covenant Father, the Elohim of Yasharah, Israel, we thank you, Yah. Torah Rabbah. Thank you so much, Yah, for your mercy, Yah. For we are sinful people, Yah. We are trying so hard, Yah. Thank you. Please be merciful unto your people. Please give us hearts to comprehend your law, not for knowledge's sake, but for righteousness, Yah. So we can be that light amongst the darkness, because our people are approaching gross darkness, Yah. For this 6th day is coming to an end, and darkness is going to fall upon the earth. Darkness that our nation has never experienced, Yah. So these little bits of sliver of light that we're receiving right now with our limited understanding, Yah, may be all the light that we have in this darkness, Yah. And our people are going to need that, Yah. We need that. So we're thankful that you have not extinguished our light, even though we deserve that, Yah, in our sinfulness. We're thankful that you sent your son to be a covering for us, Yah, to die for us, Yah, so that we can learn to suffer for righteousness' sake. For it says, much tribulation must we endure to enter into the kingdom. So you didn't set us up to think that it's going to be a cakewalk, Yah. So thank you, Yah, for being patient with us. Thank you for being merciful, Yah. And please allow us to have a merciful heart so that we don't think of ourselves more highly than we are. And we have a merciful heart to our brothers and sisters who err against you through us, Yah. Yah, these things we humbly come before you. We make no demands. We beg you, Yah. We beg you through your holy, humble, anointed Son, the only righteous one on this earth that ever walked this earth. In the name of Yahshua HaMashiach, the Savior, Word of Yah, we thank you, in whom all majesty, might, and dominion resides through forevermore. In the name of Yahshua HaMashiach, we thank and pray. Amen.
Amen.
Hallelujah.